I'm going to be showing you how to make your own quadrat out of scrap materials that you may have lying around the house, or potentially out of something that you can buy relatively easy from stationery shops or from online retailers. Essentially, all you really need is some sort of somewhat clear plastic, and what I've used for this is the divider for a file. Now what you need to do is then to draw a template for yourself to trace. The reason I've used squared paper here is because I then don't have to measure any angles, as the squares are already there. You can use graph paper or squared paper. This particular squared paper has written on the front 5mm squares, so I don't even have to measure it. However, obviously you can get a ruler and actually measure it yourself. Once you have drawn your grid, your template on there a little bit, what you can then do is, with a ruler and a permanent marker like a Sharpie or something, try and get the fine points, because they will be obviously more accurate. Then what you're going to do is transfer the stuff onto your plastic. So I am going to do that, and I'll get back to you to show you how to use it. So here we are with our fully made quadrat now. I had a little bit of a few smudging issues, and I've now got a 10 by 10 quadrat, so 10 centimetre by 10 centimetre quadrat, and it has basically 100 squares, so it's very easy to measure this using percentage coverage and so on, because it is split into 100 separate squares. However, as it says on the method there, if you have one with 25 separate squares, so half as many lines, that's absolutely fine as well, because there is a calculation that you can use to work out the percentage coverage. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be fantastic for doing an investigation on something such as daisies, which are usually the standard things to find on a quadrat investigation. And obviously, at sort of winter, autumn times of the year, which is when we usually do these experiments, there's a lack of daisies around the place. So on the plus side, most people, doesn't really matter what sort of environment you live in, most people will be able to find something like lichen. So just on this wall here, we can see these little spots of white lichen. Sorry for the noises in the background, there's my doggo. So with these spots of white lichen, what we can do is sort of concentrate on this area to study, mark it out with a piece of chalk, and then we can estimate the percentage coverage of the whole wall just by working out the percentage of a certain area. Or I suppose you could, more accurately, because it's probably relatively difficult to measure the area of the entire wall, you could measure out a distance, let's say 1 or 2 meters of the wall across and down, and then you can work out the percentage coverage of lichen in those particular areas. And if I was really going to have fun with this, I could look at this black lichen and the yellowish greenish sort of, I'm assuming, lichen in there as well, and the white. But what we're just trying to do with this experiment is we're literally just trying to compare the two methods. So when we have our measure of using our random number generator, which is literally just Google roll dice and it will give you a random number, you can work out on your marks on your wall, which I haven't done because the children have stolen the chalk. I don't know where they've put it. Instead, what you could, and then what you can do when you've worked out your coordinates, is that you can place this down here and you can look within your square and estimate the percentage coverage of lichen. The first way that you can do that is just looking at it and go, well, in this, I don't know, it sort of looks like it's approximately, I guess, just under, let's say 20%. But then the second part of it is, without moving that, you then want to count exactly how many of these points you will see that lichen. And so you can see on this one, that's one point where you can see lichen, but that one, there is no lichen there. This one, I would say that there's lichen there because there's the tiniest spot just exactly on that point, and that one as well. So what you'd want to do is you count every individual one and see how many of them contain lichen. So it is more accurate, but it does take more time. And what you then want to do is you're comparing like for like and seeing the advantages and disadvantages of each one.